This is KSL Sports Live, broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services studios.
Thanks for ending your weekend with us. We recap the NFL draft. You'll hear from players from Utah selected and where did all the undrafted free agents land. We got that too.
Yeah, we'll also look ahead to a couple of busy off seasons here. Why there's hope for the Jazz future and why the Utah Hockey Club's in a pretty good position to make a move.
But we tip off the show with the NBA playoffs. The Luka Doncic trade to the LA Lakers has been the story of the year in the NBA, and with that getting a lot of attention in the playoffs.
Yeah, but the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, they've been the story of this series.
There's no doubt. We go to the Western Conference first round series between the Lakers and Timberwolves to start things off. Lakers trying to even the series. Luka working his magic early, buries the three, and then another three. Luka on fire. He could not miss, but the Timberwolves couldn't miss either. Julius Randle gets some payback as he hits the three over Doncic to send the T-Wolves with the lead into halftime. Then Anthony Edwards gets going in the second half. Drives and gets the layup to fall. Fourth quarter, hits a step back three over Austin Reeves. He finished with a game-high 43 points. Final seconds, Minnesota up three. Lakers with a chance to tie it. But the shot is no good. Minnesota, the Timberwolves, take game four in a commanding 3-1 lead over LeBron and the Lakers.
Game four between the Knicks and Pistons. Sparks would fly early here. Karl Anthony Towns called for the loose ball foul. Cade Cunningham had to pull Ron Holland away before things really got out of hand. In the third quarter, Cunningham pulling the rim away. Down the lane with the left hand. Pistons take their first lead of the game. Moments later, Cunningham is going to fly in for two more. Jalen Brunson got shaken up a bit on that play. He would leave to the locker room, but he did return in the fourth quarter, and he hits that big shot, the triple that tied things up. Final minute, Cat takes the lead with the step-back three. Knicks are up by one. Final seconds, Cunningham with a shot. It's off the mark. Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to end up with the loose ball in the corner. He's got a chance for three. It's off the mark, but take another look at this. The officials admit in the postgame report that a foul should have been called on that shot. Too late for the Pistons, though. They are now down 3-1.
Game four in Orlando, Magic and the Celtics. Jaylen Brown dunks in 2 of his 21 for a 4-point Celtic lead. The Magic stayed attached thanks to a big game from Paolo Banchero, spinning his way to the hoop for 2 of his team-high 31. He was close throughout the second half. Jason Tatum makes a huge three. He had 37 and 14. Only Larry Bird has more 30-plus point playoff games in Celtics history. And Kristaps Porzingis was key in the paint. The putback gives the Celtics the lead. Tatum closes strong, and the defending champs take a 3-1 series lead back to Boston for Game 5 Tuesday.
Pacers lead their series with the Bucks 2-1. Game 4 was the playoff nightcap in the NBA today. Just 6 minutes into the game, this is the last thing we do not want to see. Damian Lillard down with an injury in the replay you see here. Watch, he reaches for his lower left leg. He was helped off the court, did not return. Reports are out that it is feared to be an Achilles tear. That is not good. Pacers did start the second half with an 11-point lead, immediately stamping their dominance on this game as Miles Turner dunking on Giannis for the 65-52 lead. Bit later, Tyrese Halliburton drives in for the bucket and the foul. He was 2 boards short of a triple-double, and the Pacers take control of this series 3-1 with the 26-point win.
It's okay if you're a Utah Hockey Club fan to admit you're a little jealous of the St. Louis Blues. It's okay to wish it was your team experiencing the joy of the Stanley Cup playoffs next year. It should be. But right now, the Blues are trying to seize an opportunity, a chance to even their series with a win at home against the top seed Winnipeg Jets. Kyle Connor puts the Jets on the board first, 13:58 into the game, but they wouldn't score again. The Blues dominate Game 4. They score 3 goals in the second period to take control. Connor Hellebuck had been pulled from the game. Tyler Tucker's blast gave him a lead, and then Braden Shen gives them some cushion. The Blues even the series at 2 games apiece. Winnipeg feeling the pressure. Back to Winnipeg for Game 5 Wednesday.
Home ice has been important in the Caps Canadian series. Game 4 at Bell Center. And games in Montreal, they just get different.
Slavkovski s'approche de l'action, rondelle derrière Hudson. Caulfield, le tir!
Gotta love that French play-by-play. Cole Caulfield giving the Habs the 2-1 lead. Caps tied up in the third period, then take the lead here. Andrew Mangiapane hits his first playoff goal for the 3-2 lead. Montreal forced to pull the goalie. They gave up 2 empty netters, and the Caps take the 3-1 series lead with the 5-2 win.
the New York Giants select Jackson Dart, quarterback, Mississippi.
Have to wait very long for his NFL dream to become a reality. On Thursday night, in front of the entire football world, Utah's own Jackson Dart heard his name called by Commissioner Roger Goodell in the first round of the NFL draft. You know, you just can't sleep on the football talent coming out of the state of Utah. Utah consistently ranks in the top 10 per capita for active players in the NFL, but it's not that often that a local high school kid hears his name called in the first round of the NFL draft. On Thursday night, Dart, who played at both Roy and Corner Canyon High, became the 12th all-time player from Utah High School taken in the first round of the NFL draft. The Giants, they traded back into the first round on Thursday night to take him with that 25th pick. That's how highly they thought of Dart. Shortly after the selection was made, the Giants sent the plane to pick up Dart here in Utah and fly him back to New York, where he was introduced to the media in the Big Apple Friday morning. Dart doesn't expect to be the Week 1 starter, but he does say he's ready to learn and prepare to have that job in the not-too-distant future.
I just try to stay away from, that as much as I can. I'm really just focused on getting better each and every day. And, I feel like anytime I step on a football field, I'm going to go out there and ball, regardless of who I'm playing against. So I have that confidence in myself, but at the same time, I understand that coming to a next level, there's definitely going to be a development piece. And that goes for anybody, regardless of where you're at in your career, if you're taking it to the next level. So, that's my plan, to attack each and every day and to prepare myself for, whenever my time's to come.
Well, Giants head coach Brian Daboll played an important role in the development of MVP quarterback Josh Allen when he was offensive coordinator in Buffalo. Now he'll be putting in the work to develop Dart into a top-tier NFL quarterback. According to reports, the Giants' draft room was split on Dart and Shedeur Sanders, but Daboll wanted Dart, and he got him.
I like the way he plays. I like his competitive fire. I like his accuracy. I like his ability, again, to push the ball down the field. His athletic ability to run with the football. I know the system that they ran down there at Ole Miss is similar to the one we had at Alabama. There's some carryover on some of these things, but I think this guy's got better every year he's played. He's a leader. He was smart. He has the attributes that we were looking for.
Dart's the third quarterback from a Utah high school taken in the first round of the NFL draft just 4 years ago. Of course, it was Zach Wilson, who played at Corner Canyon. He was taken second overall by the New York Jets. Wilson now entering his 5th year in the NFL, and he is on the Miami Dolphins roster currently. And before him, you got to go back to the 1982 NFL draft, where former Roy Royal Jim McMahon was taken with the 5th overall pick by the Chicago Bears. In his 4th year in the league, he helped lead the Bears to a Super Bowl title in Super Bowl 20. McMahon had a 15-year career in the NFL.
All right, now to baseball. One of the biggest surprises in Major League Baseball through 1 month of the season has been the San Francisco Giants in a division that includes the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Dodgers. It's the Giants who are in first place with a 19-10 record in the NL West.
Yeah, in fact, they're just a half game behind the Mets for the best record in all of Major League Baseball. Today, they found an unconventional way to find a win.
Taps this one to third. And he throws it down the right field line. Robinson's on the move. And he is going to stop. No, now he's going to go to third. Here's the throw. It gets by him. Here comes Ramos. This game is over.
How about that? The Giants walk it off with a Little League home run. Everything going right in San Francisco right now.
All right, speaking of those Mets, the Nationals stopped their 7-game win streak on Friday. Today, another wild finish between the two. Nats trailing 7-3 in the 7th when Riley Adams belts a 3-run homer to cut the lead to 1. After tying the game on an RBI single, the Nats complete the rally.
Throw is high to Stanek at the bag. Abrams will come in. The Nats walk it off again.
7 unanswered runs, their second walk-off of the series.
More walk-offs, please. White Sox A's, game and extra innings, top of the 10th. White Sox get an RBI single. That puts them up 1 score. We go to the bottom of the 10th. It's now the Athletics' turn to respond.
Luis Urias. Urias swings on one. Sends it to left. And how about another walk-off?
A's get the 3-2 win.
How about some Bees baseball? They wrap up their home series with the Oklahoma City Comets. Bottom of the 2nd, Nico Cavadas puts the Bees on the board with his 5th homer of the year. It's 1-0 Bees. 4th inning, Bees rally off 4 runs, including Mitchell Daly's 7th RBI of the series. The Bees have a 6-1 lead, but the Comets do make a comeback, and it's capped off with a go-ahead 2-run homer from Ryan Ward. The Bees fall to the Comets 8-7.
The Bees are playing in a better stadium than the Athletics. How about that? Should have come to Utah.
Yes.
We have to take a short break. We look back on how the 3 Utah Jazz rookies did this season and how they plan to get better.
And some great news for BYU hoops. Another reason for expectations to climb sky high in Provo next winter.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select.
Which players with local ties got the call in the draft? And for those who didn't, where did they land free agent deals? Complete local NFL draft coverage coming right up.
Not a single conversation that we won't be able to entertain with the capability and capacity to execute on it.
Year 1 of hockey in Utah is now over with, and, well, does the team have a name that they've got coming up as well? They've got their sights set on the postseason. Of course, we take a look at a big offseason for the Utah Hockey Club coming up.
And during a rocky start for Real Salt Lake, the team found a way in San Diego Saturday and have also found a star, the latest heroics of Diego Luna, coming up after this. That and much more when KSL Sports Live returns.
You're watching KSL Sports Live.
According to Pro Football Reference, 135 players all time have been drafted out of Utah State.
Yeah, they've had a Hall of Famer in Merlin Olsen, a future Hall of Famer in Bobby Wagner, more recently, first-round quarterback in Jordan Love. But on Saturday, the next Aggie on the list was taken in the draft.
The Kansas City Chiefs select Jalen Royds, wide receiver, Utah State.
Oh, it's a Kansas City Royals.
Time.
Yeah, the city of Fountains made a splash on Saturday when the Kansas City Chiefs took Aggies wide receiver Jalen Royals in the 4th round. Royals tied for the quickest 10-yard split out of any position at the scouting combine. Of course, that's one reason why he got so much separation at Utah State. 9 touchdowns of 50 yards or more.
His versatility both inside and outside, and then the rack ability stands out. And that was throughout his 3 years at Utah State. And then he can separate with the short route. He can separate with the intermediate route tree too. So he's got a ton of versatility. Just from our interactions at the Senior Bowl, like, he is so coachable. And he really loves football, and he wants to get better. And you saw that throughout his whole path, Georgia Military to Utah State. Each and every single year, he improved a ton, and he'll do that here.
Let's dive into the KSL Sports archives. For the last time a Utah State wide receiver was taken in the draft, it was also the Chiefs who made that pick. It was in 2008 when Kansas City took Kevin Robinson in the 6th round. Royals' 4th-round selection is the highest a receiver from Utah State has been selected since 2003. That's when Kevin Curtis was taken in the 3rd round by the St. Louis Rams.
The Kansas City Chiefs select Jeffrey Bossa, linebacker, Oregon.
The state of Utah continues to prove every year that this is indeed a football hotbed, and Jeffrey Bossa is the next on that list. The former Kearns Cougar went on to be one of the most reliable players on Oregon's defense over the past 4 years, starting in 41 of the 53 games that he played in. He will join Jalen with the AFC champion Chiefs.
This guy's going to play good football for you. We're pretty shocked that he's available at this point in the draft. Like, this is a very good player. I mean, he's about as consistent and dependable as they come. He's athletic. You see him make plays from sideline to sideline. You see the highlight of him taking a pick six back in the prior year against Texas Tech. Like, this guy's made a lot of plays.
Just a guy who's going to come in and, put his best foot forward every day. I'm going to give my best and my all for, the city of Kansas City.
The next Utah high school product to begin an NFL career is tight end Jackson Hawes. The tight end joins Dalton Kincaid in the tight end room up in Buffalo.
I can't even like put into words right now or like formulate anything because it's just, I still got the emotions going and everything, you know what I mean? I'm just so excited to do this, man. I can't reiterate enough like how grateful I am for the Bills for giving me this chance. I'm really excited. You know, I come in and I see myself as a true Y and see myself being able to contribute and kind of just being like, you know, bread and butter to those guys. Everyone offers a unique role, and I think that I can fit in really well with what I do well.
The Denver Broncos select Caleb Lawner, tight end, Utah.
Maybe one of the surprise picks of the draft. The only Utah Ute taken in the draft this year is Caleb Lawner. He had just 4 catches this past season. All 4 were touchdowns. Of course, he was making the transition from college basketball. And in his only season of college football, he was able to do that. He played, you know, obviously at Baylor and BYU and Utah when it came to hoops. The Broncos were intrigued by his size and elite athleticism.
We're late in this draft, and you're rooting for some guys, and you see upside. He's 6'7", 245. You can see the basketball skill set. That's easy at a high level. I think the other thing that helped was watching him at the Big 12 Pro Day. There's just a few plays that you see movement skills, and man, there's a lot to work with. But his movement skills and his eye-hand coordination, yeah, there's a lot of developmental upside, and we're excited about that.
Let's head back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Game 4 between the Hurricanes and Devils. First,
the Kings seeking a 3-1 series lead in Edmonton. We'll show you.
All right, when the NHL first arrived to a very excited and very hungry fan base 1 year ago here in Utah, General Manager Bill Armstrong was quick to remind fans that playoff hockey might not be on the menu for year 1. He told us all that they're close, but patience is still needed. Well, they certainly were close, just 7 points away from a wild card spot. Now, Armstrong's ready for the Utah Hockey Club to make its move. The rebuild officially over, and playoff hockey is the goal and the expectation for 2026. Coach Andre Torini has been with the team since recording just 57 points 4 seasons ago. With improvements made every season since, he now sees the possibility of bringing the cup here to Utah.
Here's a chance. Gunther is in. Gunther to the net. He stopped. Rebound, score! He's done it again!
We're not satisfied by any means. We recognize the progress. We recognize what's been done. We want to win the cup. That's what we want. Where are we in that stage? I will let you judge that. Having that said, we know we're getting better and it's exciting. We're looking at the team on the other side and now we're thinking, okay, let's put the 2 team and play our A game, both of us, and we'll figure it out in the last 5 minutes who get the post in. You know, that's a great feeling.
Well, in order to compete for a Stanley Cup, you have to be strategic and aggressive in building up a championship caliber roster. Utah has the 3rd youngest roster in the NHL currently, a roster that produced 5 20-goal scorers this season, 9th most in the NHL, and a goalkeeper who has the 5th most saves in the NHL since the Four Nations break. And this offseason, they've got the money and the assets to build on that.
There's not a single conversation that we won't be able to entertain with the capability and capacity to execute on it. And so as long as it makes sense for the short and long-term vision that we have for this organization, then, you know, that's a great place to be, having that kind of flexibility.
A lot of teams that you saw that won the summer didn't win the winter. And it's really important that we have planning for everybody to make sure that we spend the money wisely.
Okay, so let's take a look at what Utah has to play with this offseason. They have the 5th most cap room in the NHL, just under $8 million to spend. NHL free agency begins on July 1st, but before that, the NHL draft will take place June 27th and 28th. Utah will have the 14th overall pick in the 1st round, as well as picks in both the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Now, as for their own roster, Jack McBain, who played all 82 games this season, he is a restricted free agent. And defenseman Robert Bortuzzo and Nick DeSimone will be unrestricted free agents, as well as goalie Jackson Stauber and forwards Nick Bjugstad and Michael Carconi.
I love the guys in there, great group. I don't think that's going to be the answer, though. I don't think we're going to agree on anything. You know, I spoke to the coaching staff and management, and I think we're going to go in a different direction.
Like, what are you looking for?
On my end, consistency mostly with just playing time. You know, we have a really talented group here, and it just didn't work out. It happens.
Well, you got to love Carcone's honesty. After his exit interview, it was clear, as he said there, that the future would not be here in Utah. In his one season with the Utah Hockey Club, Carcone played in 53 games. He scored 7 goals, had 12 assists for 19 points, but he does believe he can be a 20 or more per year goal scorer, and he hopes to find that fit somewhere else.
Now to Major League Soccer. Real Salt Lake was desperate for a win Saturday. Already on the wrong side of the table in the standings, a loss to the expansion team could have left them in 13th place a month into the season. Diego Luna understood the urgency and led the club to a much-needed win. The 21-year-old striker already has a team-best 5 goals in 2025, and he added 2 more in the 3-1 win, scoring in extra time of the first half. Then the brace coming off a penalty kick in the 54th minute. A 3-1 win for RSL over San Diego, and Luna is establishing himself as a star in the league.
Yeah, I don't think we can talk about Diego developing anymore. You know, he's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's obviously the guy that's putting the ball in the back of the net, and you know, he's doing it all for our group, man.
Real Salt Lake head coach Pablo Mastroeni reached a milestone in his coaching career. The 3-1 victory over San Diego is the 100th win of his coaching career across all competitions. That includes his time as the head coach of the Colorado Rapids.
It shows in the way the teams he coaches play, a little bit of what he was like as a player, you know, gritty, and, you know, the perseverance of the teams that he coaches, and the balls that you see from the team that we have. And so that's great for him, and I think it's well-deserved.
We have to take another break. Didn't get drafted? No problem. Several Utes and Cougars and Aggies sign undrafted free agent deals.
And we continue to look back on the Utah Jazz season. You'll hear from all 3 rookies on their first year in the league. Plus, will he stay or will he go? BYU star Richie Saunders has made his decision. That's coming up and more next.
There are plenty of examples of players who didn't get drafted in the NFL but use that as fuel to prove doubters wrong and make it in the league as an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, how about Kurt Warner, Priest Holmes, Antonio Gates, James Harrison, all examples of guys who went undrafted to the Pro Bowl. Even recent examples like Taysom Hill, Rashid Shaheed, and Tim Patrick, to name just a few. Well, several local players hope to follow a similar path.
For Utah, Connor O'Toole signs with the Seattle Seahawks, and he's signing for the 4th highest total of any undrafted free agent in this class. The receiver turned pass rusher gets $264,000 guaranteed from the Seahawks and a $30,000 signing bonus. Other Utes landing undrafted free agent deals: Karene Reed joins Caleb Lohner in Denver. Junior Tafuna signs with the Houston Texans. Zamiah Vaughn signs with the Minnesota Vikings, and Mekhi Bernard signs with the Tennessee Titans.
BYU didn't have any players drafted this year, but several will be getting their shot to make a final roster. It took less than an hour after the draft for Tyler Batty to find a spot with the Minnesota Vikings, and then soon after that, Jacob Robinson agreed to a UDFA deal with the 49ers. Caleb Etienne joins Batty and Robinson, signing a free agent deal. The offensive tackle headed to the Cincinnati Bengals. And 4 other Cougars received invites to rookie minicamp. Darius Lassiter with the Philadelphia Eagles, Connor Pay with the Raiders, Blake Mengelson with the Vikings, Braden Keim with the Chiefs. All a chance for them to get an invite back to minicamp in June.
Undrafted free agents for the Aggies. Tight end Wyatt Bowles signs a free agent deal with the LA Rams. Aggies earning minicamp invites: Jacob Garcia with the Dolphins and Spencer Petras with the Chiefs and Chargers.
Cal Bears edge rusher Xavier Carlton signed an undrafted free agent deal with the Chicago Bears. Carlton, who went to high school at Juan Diego, started his collegiate career at the U before transferring to Cal for his final 3 seasons. He was 4th in the ACC last season in sacks with 9.
Back to Major League Baseball. Rays and Padres tag at your own risk against Fernando Tatis Jr. The Padres right fielder has a hose. He gets Jose Caballero at the plate to save a run, but it didn't stop the Rays from getting their 5th straight win, climbing up those AL East standings.
Angels visiting the Twins, top 7th. Twins holding on to a 4-0 lead, and Harrison Bader's protecting that lead with center field superpowers. Diving catch in the gap for the out. Twins pitcher Joe Ryan went 7 scoreless innings, struck out 11 in the process. Twins get the shutout 5-0, their 3rd straight win.
And this is for the win. It's close. They're going to call it. Did Gordon beat the buzzer? They're going to take a look at it.
A little March Madness in the NBA playoffs in April. Our Performance Automotive Play of the Weekend. We go back to Game 4, the Nuggets and Clippers for the first time in the NBA's postseason. We witnessed a buzzer-beating dunk. Aaron Gordon, that close, beat the buzzer by 1.1 seconds to give the Nuggets that key Game 4 win.
Well, the Utah Jazz, they'll have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. We're going to find out in 2 weeks if one of those will be the first overall pick.
It's going to be a nervous night. Whoever they pick will join a trio of rookies from this past season that the Jazz hope will be a big part of the future of the franchise.
Yeah, Cody Williams, he was taken last year with the 10th overall pick, but he was the least productive of the drafted rookies. Williams averaged 4.6 points, 2.3 rebounds per game, and he struggled with his shot, making just 32% of those from the field. He did play in 50 games for the Jazz this season, started in 21 of those. But to find his best game of the year, you got to go all the way back to November 4th when he scored 11 points, dished out 4 assists, had 5 rebounds against the Bulls.
All 3 of these rookies, you know, this summer is probably the most important summer of their young careers because they finally have time to train. When we took Cody, he's got a very good brain. He's in the right places most of the time and kind of understands what's going on in the game. We knew that physically that he was going to take a lot more time than necessarily some of the other guys that were more physically ready. And his time on the court, while he struggled with certain aspects, I think they were good reinforcement lessons, again, of what he needs to do this summer.
Isaiah Collier may go down as one of the steals in the 2024 NBA draft. Once thought of as a high lottery pick. In fact, at one point he was ranked #1 in his class. The Jazz got him 29th overall, and what a steal he ended up being. He averaged 8.7 points, 6.3 assists per game while recording 11 double-doubles, the 5th most by a rookie this season. Collier ended up starting in 46 games. He really turned the corner in the month of February. 6 of his double-doubles came that month, and he was named the NBA's Rookie of the Month.
Just consistently shooting the basketball, staying locked in on defense. I think that are the biggest things for me this offseason. And, you know, just continue to get better, you know, as a whole.
The point guard position is really, really hard to play, especially as a 20-year-old. But he demonstrated early that he knows what's going on in the game, time and score, who's played well, who needs the ball. Certainly, you know, he has things to work on, but just his pace and strength at 20 years old and be able to even break a fairly significant record in Jazz history of having the most assists as a rookie is impressive.
Well, the Jazz also seem to have gotten a steal in the 2nd round with that 32nd overall pick last year, and Kyle Filipowski posted 9.6 points and 6.1 rebounds per game in his rookie campaign. He recorded 13 double-doubles, which was the 3rd most by any rookie this season. And then he really showed his potential near the end of the season. In the Jazz 3rd-to-last game, Flip scored 30 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists in a win against the Blazers.
Kyle, you know, learning how to integrate being both a 4 and a 5 and constant, you know, changing in lineups and figuring out how to play. You could really see that he knows how to play and his basketball IQ.
I mean, just getting stronger for one. That's a big one because the longevity, how long this season is, you're definitely gonna have to need that. And then smaller, more detailed things like positioning on defense or getting my feet quicker to be ready to catch and shoot the ball, things like that.
The news continues to be good for BYU hoops. Richie Saunders announcing on social media that he will return to BYU next season for his 4th year of college hoops. BYU already with the #2 recruiting class in the nation, able to keep their best player from last season for one more run.
Well, from all the reports that came out of Utah spring football practices, Zach Williams had emerged as one of the top targets in the Utes' new offense, but he still entered the transfer portal, and this weekend he now has in. On3 Sports reported that former BYU receiver and All-American kick returner Keelan Marion has committed to the Miami Hurricanes. He led the nation with 2 kicks returned for touchdowns last season. He also contributed 698 total yards and 6 total touchdowns for the Cougars offense over the past 2 seasons.
Up next, an update on the name for the Utah Hockey Club. How close are we to an announcement and a milestone? For Salt Lake Bees manager, Keith Johnson. The Utah Warriors' great season continues. They trailed 31-12 at the half against the Chicago Hounds and rallied to win. 52nd minute. Joey Mono gets the try. The conversion is good, and that lead is down to 5. 7 minutes later, Utah takes the lead. Mono again, a hat trick. And then in the 61st minute, how about this effort from Nick Ben? You're not bringing him down. Fighting his way into the end zone for the try, and a 38-31 Utah lead. What a comeback. Utah now just 1 point behind the Houston SaberCats for first in the West, and they got a game in hand.
Oilers come all the way back from 3 goals down to go back to LA now with this series all tied up at 2 games each. This is what we want in Salt Lake someday soon.
Oh, those fans going nuts. How cool is that? All right, now that the inaugural season is over for the Utah Hockey Club, fans may be wondering how active the club will be in free agency or who they select in the upcoming NHL draft.
Yeah, but maybe even more pressing of a matter amongst the clubbers, at least, is what will the team name be? Right?
That's what we really want to know.
This is a subject pretty much everyone has an opinion on, right? The Yeti was a popular pick, but the Cooler Company, of course, put a stop to that. Then that left names like the Mammoth Outlaws, even the Wasatch as possible options. But according to Utah's president of hockey ops, Chris Armstrong, they're not quite ready to let us know.
The bearer of disappointing news, I'm not in a position to give you much of an update today on the naming of the team. I know that's a topic of great interest. But yeah, we've obviously been thrilled to engage our fans at what we think is a pretty unprecedented level. And we're definitely in the home stretch and on track to announce that in the coming months here. But not much more I can say about it today.
Wonder how many times he gets asked every day when he goes to the grocery store or wherever. Hey, a big KSL Sports congratulations to the Salt Lake Bees manager, Keith Johnson. He's been a staple here in Utah for years. Johnson picked up the 900th win of his managerial career. He's in his 18th season with the Angels organization, his 10th season as manager of the Salt Lake Bees. Congrats, Keith. And he continues to rack them up.
Hey, how about you rack up the app? The KSL Sports app, that's free.
That is.
It doesn't cost you a dime. Just hit up that QR code, get it downloaded on your phone. You'll get all your Utah. Hey, when they announce the Utah hockey name, I guarantee it'll be on that app. Will be. All right, we'll see you next weekend.